Have you ever noticed that the more you earn, the more the definition of enough seems to retreat just beyond the horizon? There's a strange, almost mathematical phenomenon in modern life, where a 20% raise rarely results in 20% more peace of mind. In fact, for many professionals in London, New York, or Paris, a higher salary often brings a new, more expensive kind of stress. We are taught that the solution to financial anxiety is simply more income. But if that were true, the upper middle class would be the most relaxed people on earth. Instead, they are often the most leveraged. Let's look at a scenario that plays out in cities across the West every day. You started your career earning $40,000. Back then, you lived with roommates, drove a 10-year-old hatchback, and considered a dinner out a genuine luxury. You felt tight, but you expected that. Now, 5 or 10 years later, you've climbed the ladder. You're earning $95,000. On paper, you are in the top tier of earners globally. But let's look at the reality of that $95,000. After the tax authorities take their substantial portion, you're left with a monthly net that looks good, until the upgraded life begins to drain it. You now live alone in a desirable zip code because you felt you had outgrown roommates. That's $2,500. You traded the hatchback for a German sedan with a $600 lease because you wanted to look the part of a successful professional. You have the premium gym membership, the high-end grocery habit, and the revolving door of weddings and social events that a high-income social circle demands. By the time you pay for your professional insurance, your student loans, and the convenience services you buy because you're too busy working to do your own laundry or cooking, you realize something terrifying. You are still living paycheck to paycheck. The only difference is that your paycheck is larger, and so are the consequences of losing it. The hidden flaw here is not a lack of income. It's the structural trap of fixed cost inflation. When most people get a raise, they don't see it as capital to be invested. They see it as increased spending power. They move from a variable cost lifestyle, where they could cut back if needed, to a fixed cost lifestyle. Let's look at the math. If you earn $5,000 a month and your fixed costs, rent, car, insurance, subscriptions, are $4,000, you have a $1,000 margin. If you get a raise to $7,000, but you move into a bigger apartment and lease a more expensive car that brings your fixed cost to $6,000, your margin is still only $1,000. Mathematically, you are no more secure than you were before. You are just managing a more complex machine. Every time you increase your fixed costs, you are effectively selling your future freedom to pay for your current image. Psychologically, we fall into this trap because of hedonic adaptation and social comparison. As your income rises, your baseline for what is normal shifts. The business class flight, or the organic supermarket, starts to feel like a necessity rather than a choice. You no longer compare your life to your college self. You compare it to the colleague who just bought a house in the suburbs, or the friend who wears a luxury watch. This is a game with no finish line, because there is always someone earning more, spending more, and looking more successful than you. If you ignore this cycle, the long-term impact is wealth paralysis. You reach your late 40s earning a massive salary. You cannot quit a job you hate. You cannot take a sabbatical. You cannot pivot into a more meaningful but lower-paying career because your monthly burn rate is too high. You have built a cage made of gold, but it is still a cage. You are one corporate restructuring away from total financial collapse, despite having earned millions of dollars over your career. Financially intelligent people approach a raise with a different logic. They understand that the only way to feel rich is to increase the gap between what you earn and what you spend. They treat their lifestyle as a controlled variable. When their income goes up, they don't move. They don't trade in the car. They don't upgrade the wardrobe. Instead, they take the entirety of that raise and move it into assets that they don't see. They realize that wealth is not what you spend. It's what you keep. Being rich is the ability to walk into a room and know that you don't need the job, the approval, or the status symbols to be secure. They focus on net worth rather than gross income. To them, a person earning $70,000 and saving $20,000 is far wealthier than a person earning $200,000 and saving nothing. The first person is buying their freedom. The second is just renting a lifestyle. The reason earning more rarely makes you feel rich is that you are using your income to buy things. And things do not provide security. Only equity does. To break the cycle, you have to be willing to look less successful than your income suggests. You have to be comfortable being the person with the highest bank balance and the oldest car in the parking lot. Wealth is the silence of a life without debt, and the power of a life with options. It is a quiet, internal state, not an external display. If this perspective on the psychology of income helped you understand your own financial journey, you may want to subscribe for more analytical deep dives. Thank you for listening.